morning and welcome back to Vel, Ohio. It is a beautiful August 5th morning and I am headed down 33 to southeastern Ohio. I'm going to Millfield, right north of Athens. This is the fourth stop in the Ohio Gravel Race Series. It is the Athens Gravel Challenge. One thing that sets this race apart, and for the first time in this race's existence, it's going to include single track, specifically the Bailey's Trail System single track. It's a fairly new mountain bike trail here in Ohio, and I think I can, I don't know, not use it, but I think that it's going to force my strategy just a little bit. There will be a large climb to start the race, I believe on pavement, and then about 4.5 miles into the race, we're going to enter Bailey's for 2.5 miles. So I think what you want to do to stay toward the front of the pack is to attack that hill as fast as you can, be toward the front of the group as you enter the mountain bike system, because there will be far fewer opportunities to pass once you're on the single track, because by its very nature, it is single track. I'm not a great mountain biker by any stretch of the imagination, but I have been practicing just a little bit this week, getting used to riding my bike on mountain bike trails so that I can at least hold my own and not be holding everyone up behind me. This will be my first race using the Lauf suspension fork, and just riding that over the past couple weeks, I don't love the handling quite yet, and I don't actually think it's the fault of the fork, but using the angle set to slacken my head tube angle, and then putting the fork on top of that, which has that longer axle to ground, so now I've slackened the bike even a bit further. I think it might just be too slack, or I just haven't gotten used to it yet, or I haven't used it in race conditions. Maybe I'll love it today. So I'm actually considering not going back to the original head tube angle, but just kind of going halfway back. But I'm excited. We've got about 45 minutes more to go here. The race will be seemingly the magical 54-mile distance that Bait and the Shark and Black Fork were as well. Similar climbing metrics. It's going to be somewhere in the 5,000 to 6,000 feet of climbing, and it will be low 70s to start the race and low 80s to end the race. So I'm excited. I do believe that I've got an interview lined up this morning with Team Athens Cycling, who is putting on the event. So let's get to registration, get all checked in, and then let's check with Athens Cycling. A quick couple updates. I'm sort of in no man's land for my training. I have been racing recently. I raced a bunch in July, but that was coming off of a 2-week break after the mid-June Funk Bottoms, which of course was a long race, and I had sort of peaked in my training program for that. And with the inconsistency of going on vacation and racing, so then you don't stick to your plan in the week because you're going to go hard on the weekend, I don't know where my fitness is right now. I don't suspect it's great. I think it's good enough to get through the race, but it will be nice to get back on track a little bit. Regarding the overall series standings, after 3 races, I am sitting fairly pretty in 7th place. Again, I believe that's just because of my consistency and actually getting my butt to the starting line and crucially to the finish line of each race. So who knows, depending on who shows up today and depending on how well I do, I can maybe bump myself up a little closer to that podium. So cross our fingers that we have a good outcome today. So this is the race day form for today. The noticeable difference being the presence of that Lauf Grit SL suspension fork. The other change that I made that I didn't feel warranted a complete video was the addition of a dropper seat post. Sometimes they refer to this as an office chair dropper because it's actuated just by a little lever underneath the saddle as opposed to controls up at the bars. I'm not too concerned about that because I'm not going to be going up and down with the dropper. If you're unfamiliar with the dropper, the idea is that when you're on technical terrain, you can lower the saddle to get it out of the way. Just gives you more maneuverability on the bike, allows you to get your hips back over your rear axle if you're trying to lift the front wheel. For me, I find I can just lean the bike into turns better on single track if the saddle is out of the way. This is just kind of a cheapo Exaform dropper. One adjustment that I had to make because of my short Neanderthal-like legs, I don't have enough actual seat post showing to extend the dropper all the way. So this is a 100mm dropper, and to get it to, I've got it bottomed out, and my legs are only long enough to accommodate about 70mm of drop. So you can see I just kind of did a little perpendicular loop-de-loop on these zip ties so that when I elevate it back up, the slack is taken up and the tension will hold that from extending all the way. So I get to keep my preferred seat post height without, you know, looking around for some sort of boutique gravel dropper that only moves, you know, 40 or 50 millimeters. So that was well under $100, easy to pick up on Amazon or elsewhere. Well, let's try the pump track. Vermage. I think that's how it's supposed to work.
Look good. How far you going? Hand on your leg. That way. Yeah. Well, the thing is,
on your inside.
Sounds like a flat. Yeah. Oh, there's a tube. Tube on your back, shirtless. That's a bold choice. So I'm all by myself. This section was designed for aero bars. I think there must be a tailwind, but I'm just holding 24.5. I dropped my other friends there who seem to be pretty strong, but this is the time trial special section right here. I gotta say, I think I hate this fork. I don't know if it just messed with the geometry too much, but I almost ate shit on that downhill. It feels like the front wheel is just skipping left to right, and I have no traction. The faster I go, the worse it gets. So it actually felt pretty good for that mountain bike section, but I'm not turning my gravel bike into the world's crappiest mountain bike just to make it a worse gravel bike at the same time. So priority number one is keep the bike upright until I get to the finish line. And then between now and the next race, put the rigid fork back on. It was a good experiment, and at least now I can go to sleep knowing that this suspension fork is not in my future. So yeah, 13 miles in. So I think I'm well behind the people in front of me and well ahead of the people behind me. Just even over that little bump right there, the whole front end of my bike is shaking. It's not a loose headset either. It just feels weird. All right, so 41 miles to go. Got to keep it just strong tempo until 9 miles to go. Then it's back into the mountain bike section. Let's see if I can pick some people off here. How far ahead? 1 minute? All right, thank you. All right, we got a minute. I think she said a minute and a half to be nice to me. 14%. Nothing new to the Ohio Gravel Series, but it never gets easier. You just go slower. Thought I was going to get to go down the hill, not go back up it. Well, the masters that started 15 minutes behind me are about to catch me, and now we're in 15 minutes into the race. Gentlemen. Well, that peaked at 17%. Climb is pretty endless. This climb doesn't want to stop, but halfway through, hour and 45 deep, halfway through. Second half will be longer because it'll have more single track, but doing all right, feeling all right. I just don't like the vagueness of the front wheel, but we'll get through it. So 17 miles remaining. The last 8.5 are single track. So under 10 miles to go here of the steady state, up and down, which is not steady at all, gravel. And then it's going to be, I guess, a test of skill into the finish line. I'm not catching anyone, and the only people catching me are really fast masters, so I think my place has been secured. I just have to keep my wits about me for the single track. It's a different kind of skill. It's just constant focus. You don't get in the zone. At least I don't. Just always needing to pay close attention. So I'll see you at the single track. Good, man. Yeah. Dropping. Got the gears.
You got this. Enjoy the shade.
Surprise climb there.
Yeah. It's not done there.
That's what the last guy said. If this is where I wipe out. Oh, and I'm not even going to mention me calling my own shot and falling right at the end of the race with 200 feet to go. I had ridden around that little walking path just in warm-ups, and I came down that last section and it was just gravel on top of gravel on top of gravel, you know, super deep and loose. So when I came to it, I was like, oh, I'm not going to go down that. I'll just cut across the grass. And as soon as I got into the grass, there was like this 2-foot rut. And I just flipped it and ripped it. Fell on my side, you know. My bars and wheel were all cattywampus, and, you know, poor me, cut up my hand a little bit. If I was going to fall today, I suppose that's the way that I would prefer to fall. So it's not all glitz and glamour when you have 100 subscribers on YouTube. Hope you enjoyed that part as well. It's pretty deep. I can only imagine a bunch sprint coming in through that turn.
To a point where you couldn't ride straight, then yeah, fix it.
Yeah, it's straight enough. All done. It's Matt, right?
Yeah.
Nice work, buddy. Did you go down?
Yeah, like the first section of single track. Just bit it.
I just fell right there.
Oh, that was looser than hell, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was awful.
I was like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if I fell here? You know, internal monologue. So, Ohio Gravel Race Series number 4, the Athens Gravel Grinder Challenge, is in the books. And what do I think? I think it was by far the hottest day that we've had so far, with a lot of exposed climbing sections, so it doesn't bother me too much, but heat definitely played a factor out there. If not for me, then certainly for other riders. Relating to my fitness, it was okay. I'm definitely not peaking, so I got to step on the gas a bit and really ramp up for the second half of the season with respect to the calendar. And how about the course? I love the course. The roads were really nice, but also freshly graded. So speaking with Charlie after the race, he mentioned that they're usually not this walnut gravelly as they are today. So a lot of big stones out there, just really easy to drift across. So relating to my equipment, loved the dropper post when it came to the single track. It felt great to maneuver the bike underneath my body and just get it out of the way when I was descending. The single track was not very technical, but being on the drops, just so that I had control over my brakes, definitely fatigued my back. The Lough Fork, I don't think I'm going to stick with it. It was still kind of vague and drifty, so I don't know how much of that is just the fresh gravel, and maybe I need to give it another chance. It did feel good on the single track, so it's not all doom and gloom that it was in the first 20 miles. It did perform better as the race went on. I'm just not convinced I need it. If it's going to involve single track, maybe I just need to look into an XC bike with aero bars. How about the promotion? Team Athens Cycling, they did a phenomenal job today as far as, super easy registration process. They had lots of intersections and corners well marked with police, with volunteers letting you know which direction to go. They had people at difficult visibility turns just letting you know where to go and giving you encouragement, telling you, 1 mile to go and all that. So as an event, very impressed, really enjoyed it today. We've got 2 weeks until the next one, I believe on the 26th. So time to, you know, at least get a solid week of training in before I have to taper back a little bit before McLean Farms. So hope you enjoyed the event, and I look forward to showing you guys the next one as well.